You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor. Today on our Friday review, we're going to be going over a lot of digestive-based issues. So we're going to look at stool testing to really say, you probably heard about it by now, but there's a lot more people recommending and suggesting stool testing. Why are they doing that? What's this all about? Even though it's been around for decades, why all the talk now? We're going to be going through one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book, on enzymes and digestion and what's going on there. And then, of course, the next question is going to be, okay, well, you're recommending digestive and support. What's that supplement that you would recommend for that if I could just use one supplement, not two or three? What's that one? So let's go over those today. So stool testing has become really popular, and I guess that sounds kind of funny to say that, but here's the thing. Stool testing can do something for you that a lot of other labs can't do, and that's look for parasites. So, honestly, if you're not using Instagram and you haven't gone to instagram.com/Stephen Cabral, I just highly recommend it. We post there twice a day. They will take you 30 seconds to read, and we are literally talking about everyday new health tips, new weight loss tips, new training tips, new autoimmune-based tips. And we did one on parasites that was really, really popular, and it just showed people that right now, 1 out of 3 Americans have a parasite. They don't even know it. There are 500 million people worldwide with a specific type of worm that they don't even know. And even if you don't live in America, your odds of getting parasite could even be higher in a lot of other countries that don't even have the same necessarily hygiene, we'll say, that they use in the US. It's just so easy to contract them. So if you didn't listen to my episodes on parasites and how you can potentially get a parasite, just go to this past Tuesday's, which was 7 signs you may have a parasite. That was on episode 262. So just simply go to stephencabral.com/262, and it's Stephen with a PH. So check out that episode. Really important. So let's just talk about, there's a lab that we run. It's a stool test. You can just go to stephencabral.com/store. You'll see the exact one we use. You'll see a little bit about why we use it, and you'll see that it doesn't just test for parasites. So it's looking at parasites like Giardia, it's looking at Entamoeba coli, it's looking at different types of other types of bacterial overgrowth, as well as yeast and candida. Not always easy to detect on a stool test, but great that they're still testing for it. It's going to test for H. pylori as well. Again, not always the easiest thing to detect, but great to look at as well. The reason why I choose this lab out of all the others is that not only do they run this lab through obviously machine-based testing, right, computer-based analysis, but they actually take the stool sample and they look at it with a human under a microscope. And under a microscope, that actual researcher, scientist, whoever it is in the lab looking at it, lab tech, is going to be able to see with their own eye whether there is parasites or not. I think this is crucial, and then also knowing the type of parasite that you have helps, or whether it's really yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth, it will look for that. So, I'm not going to go through it for everyone who's not interested today, but you can simply just go to the website. I don't have the direct link, but it's stephencabral.com/store. You'll just see what we use, what it looks like, all the details, but it's called the GI screen, or there's just a stool test in the store, and it tests for H. pylori. So a really nice lab. So what happens if you show up for a parasite? Well, you're going to go through a parasite-based protocol. You're either going to use a specific antibiotic that your doctor decides to recommend for you, or you're going to go use the natural route, which is what, of course, I would recommend, and I do. But again, that's my recommendation. I want you to always do what you feel is best for you. And, we obviously have great protocols that are not expensive to get rid of parasites as well. And it doesn't take that long. 6 weeks. 6-week protocol that gives you 2 life cycles, 21 days each, essentially for each life cycle of certain parasites. And then the ova, the eggs, the next larva, basically the next offspring. You'll kill those as well. So really important, even if you never test, doing a once or twice a year parasite cleanse, can't recommend it enough. I mean, there's no harm in doing it, only potential benefit. Of course, if you're sensitive to black walnut or cloves or any of the herbs in them, that's the only reason you wouldn't want to do it. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic. And of course, if you have more questions on stool testing, please just let us know. It's a very minimally invasive. I know it doesn't sound very nice, but you're just taking a sample of stool for 4 days, and technically, and you're mailing it in. Really, it's all contained in one little kit. No big deal to do. I did this test, I would say the first time I did it, when it was basically unheard of, was about 17, 18 years ago. Again, remarkable test, and it just tests for so many different things. Okay, so number 2, what are we going over? We are going over a book by Dr. Howard Loomis. And Dr. Howard Loomis, really practicing medicine decades ago, and what he looked at, and this was truly groundbreaking. Now, it's talked about far more now, but groundbreaking when he first talked about it. So I want to give him a lot of credit. He understood way back when how the digestive system actually works, and then talked about in detail how enzymes work and how you're able to better break down food. I'm going to talk about why this is actually important. What's the whole point of enzymes? But it's so vitally important, and it's helped so many different people, not with just bloating, gas, heartburn, those types of things, but also with the ability to actually break down the food, absorb nutrients for wellness, for disease, and for keeping muscle on, which is so important for metabolism as we age. So the book by Dr. Loomis is called Enzymes, The Key to Health. And the one that I'm looking at is Volume 1, The Fundamentals. So is this a little bit more technical? Well, not really. I would say it's in between. Great for health practitioners, but also very accessible to your everyday interested wellness person. So what are you going to read about? We're going to read about how the digestive system works. So keep in mind, when we chew food, this enzyme in our mouth is naturally made called amylase. Now, that begins at about 2 years old, and it helps break down starch. But how do we break down protein? How do we break down fat? Well, that's going to happen down in the stomach. So after about a half hour after starting our meal, we start to produce something called hydrochloric acid and pepsin. Now, that is what's needed to specifically break down protein. And believe it or not, I know we talk about acid reflux and those types of things, the majority of people are missing or are low on actual digestive acids and stomach acids. And that really leads to putrefaction in the stomach. The food stays in there way too long, and it causes bloating, causes a lot of other issues. I'm not going to go into that today, but that's a really important topic and one that I work on literally every single day in my practice with people, and it's life-changing. I mean, if you don't walk around with bloating, gas, and all those different things, you're a much happier person, and you know what? You're able to digest your food and get more nutrition out of it. So hugely, hugely important. Keep in mind that when I'm going to be talking about this next, when I actually make my enzyme recommendation for a supplement, it's so easy. 1 capsule per meal, per whole food meal. Don't even need it with a smoothie because a smoothie is pre-digested. One of the 1001 reasons why I recommend smoothies for breakfast. But so what are you looking at? Well, you're looking very simple. Everything in your body needs an enzyme to break it down. So when we're looking at proteins, there's this thing called proteases. And the ACE, whenever you see ACE, A-S-E, at the end of something, that's essentially an enzyme that breaks down a sugar or a protein or a fat. So proteases break down proteins, and lipases break down lipids or fat. So what's a protein? Well, it's your eggs, it's your meat, it is your fish, it's any type of animal-based protein. It's also vegetarian-based proteins, such as beans, although there are other actual digestive enzymes that break down beans because beans are a little bit more complicated. There's fructose in them, and there's other different types of sugars that need to be broken down separately. Phytic acid, there's actually enzymes to break that down as well. So that's why you don't always have to stay clear of all these different foods that you might have specific issues with. You might just need a simple enzyme to help give you a little bit of digestive boost. It's just digestive strengthening. And for the most part, these things are really all natural. They're extracted from other foods and from yeast and other products like that. And the one that I use, which you'll find out in a minute, actually has extracts from papaya and actual pineapple. It's an amazing one. It took me a long time to get that formula. And there's amylases, and there's things like cellulase, which breaks down cellulose in a lot of different vegetables. So when you're reading about enzymes, just understand that every single food that you put in your body needs an enzyme to help break it down. If it doesn't, it's going to create a lot of digestive distress. And so we have enzymes that's, in the food itself. If a food is raw, it contains enzymes. Now, that doesn't mean you need to eat every food raw, especially if you live in a cold climate. A lot of times raw foods are a little bit more expanding and they're not as warming that we need for our body to balance the outside temperature. Remember, we have to stay balanced. But if you're in a warmer climate, well, you could certainly eat a lot more salads if that works for you, and a lot more raw fruit and all of those different things. So a little combination of both might be best for a lot of people, but what happens if you cook the food? Well, if you're cooking food, you're going to want to then add in enzymes because all of the enzymes have been cooked out of the food once it goes above 118 degrees. So unless you're really doing low temperature, it's most likely going to be cooked out. So hopefully that just gives you a little taste of how the body works. It works in different pHs, which I'm not going to get into today, and that's how the enzymes work in your body. Really phenomenal, great book. Dr. Loomis is obviously a very brilliant doctor. He was a chiropractor and an overall smart guy. So learned from him probably 10 years ago. Really, really great stuff. So now what is the digestive enzyme I'm recommending? Well, it's called Daily Digestive, and you'll be able to obviously find it right at, if you live in Boston, the Boston area, you can go, of course, to Cabral Wellness Institute, which is our wellness center in Boston. And if not, we offer the same products online, which is just at the StephenCabral.com/store. But what I want to do today is teach you how to find a good digestive enzyme for you, even if you don't use the one that we specifically recommend. Our enzyme is pretty inexpensive. I think it costs about maybe $1 a day, maybe not even $1 a day. So really, really inexpensive, but a great product. And so here's the thing. A lot of digestive enzymes are very weak. They don't contain a lot of proteases. They don't contain a lot of lipase. So you want one that's actually going to be effective. And a lot of enzymes too aren't very expansive, which means they don't contain things like xylanase. And xylanase is so fantastic for a lot of people who are eating other things like beans and chickpeas and vegan-based foods, because that's going to certainly help with that as well. One thing I'd like to just recommend too is that you do find one. If you're someone who likes salads or likes veggies or cruciferous-based vegetables, you want one that contains something that says cellulase, okay, or hemicellulase. Those are very, very important. Now, let me tell you about one of the reasons why I like this Daily Digestive that we have, is that it contains something called bromelain. Bromelain is actually a natural enzyme that comes from pineapples, and really from the core, the inside of the pineapple, that a lot of people aren't necessarily eating. And what is bromelain even used for? Like, why is that important? Well, believe it or not, bromelain right now is being used for joint pain, anti-inflammatory, arthritis, even cancer, allergies, digestive issues, especially breaking down proteins, and recovering from surgery. So if you're looking at something that's also anti-inflammatory, or you have bowel IBS, this is a phenomenal product. Allergies, it's just, why? Because it calms inflammation and it helps eat up a lot of those fermented proteins in there as well. Love that. One of the reasons why I use this product, that's the one I choose to use. And the other one is papain. So when we're looking at how do we combine the best of functional medicine, and how do we combine what we've known in Ayurvedic medicine and Chinese medicine for, over 6,000 years in recorded history. So we know that things like bromelain and papain work phenomenally well. So papain comes from papaya. I love papaya. I just think it's a great food. It's low on fructose, so really nice for people who are watching their FODMAP-based foods. So what about papain? Well, papain does this. Papain also helps to break down protein. So maybe you're not using a betaine HCl. Maybe you don't want to go that route to add a little bit more of what your body needs for stomach acid. This helps. This works fantastically well. Ginger works well too. But papain helps even repair tissue repair. So it helps with tissue repair, skin care, absolutely great to that. It's been shown to work really great to reduce fungal overgrowth. So that can be any part of the outside of the body or inside of the body. It boosts your immune system. I think that's fantastic as well. And it's been shown to squelch or reduce free radicals. So if you can find a product that also has all the digestive enzymes and adds bromelain and papain for the same exact price, obviously, why not do that? So really great product. And again, you can just go to StephenCabral.com/store, and it will say Daily Digestive. This is a bottle that will last you 1 to 2 months. And again, I don't have the exact price, but I think it's like $1 a day. Really, I think that's all it is. So Hopefully this episode helped. Hopefully it gave you some great tips. I love bringing you the Friday review. A lot of times, like, I'm going back into my library, I'm looking at these books and I'm saying, which out of these books are more approachable for people? What do I think people will get the most benefit from? And that's kind of what I choose, what I pick. And then today it just led me to say, oh, you know what? Well, let's look at the stool test. Not a lot of people know about that. Let's look at, a lot of people have questions about enzymes, so why not answer that? So again, keep your questions coming. I love answering them. Hopefully you've had a great week, and I'm going to be back tomorrow with our first edition of the Cabral House Call. Definitely come back, check out our community questions. Have a great day, everyone.
Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.